Hey guys, my name is Ryan, and we're back again with another Spirit Island video. Spirit Island is a fantastic game because each time you play, it's like you go through your own hero's journey. At the start of the game, we are weak and downtrodden, struggling to survive against the onslaught of invaders that take actions in 3/4 of the island every turn. We survive though, we grow in power, but of course the invaders do too. With any luck, we're able to grow faster though, and soon we can overcome that initial deficit to overwhelm the invaders and win. Very often, we play a head-on, direct battle against the invaders, where each action from the invaders invokes a counteraction by the spirits. But the best way to win a battle is to never fight at all. Invaders take 3 actions each turn. They ravage, build, and explore. And each of these is dependent on the one that comes before it. So it's a well-known strategy to stop the invaders in their tracks by clearing a land after it builds, such that there's nothing there to ravage. Most spirits in the game have a means by which that they can do this, so it's a very good common strategy. What's even better though is if we can stop them after the explore, then there's no build, and thus there is no ravage. One of the most common ways we'll see this happen is with fast explorer control, and that's a core part of some spirit strategies, but it is a little bit less common. But what if we pushed it one step further, and we prevented the explore from happening altogether? If there's no explore, then there's no build, and there's nothing to ravage. Well, this can be most commonly done with a wild token. There are some spirits in the game that can create a wilds, which would deny the explore, which stops the entire chain of actions the whole way down, and that's why wilds can arguably be the best token in the game. Now there is another mechanic, isolate, which can stop and explore, and there's not very many isolate spirits in the game, but it is once again a very powerful way to stop the entire chain of events. But what if there was another way that we could prevent explorers from happening, and it's something that's available to every spirit in the game, no matter who you are? Well, that's called making a pocket. There's a lot of little rules in this game, and it's really easy to let some of them, which are not always pertinent, to slip through the cracks. Today's relevant rule is on page 10 of the base game rulebook. It says that we only explore lands that are adjacent to a town, city, or the ocean, or one that already has a town or city in it. Each board starts with a city on land number 2, and they have one inland town. And between those 2 buildings, every land has a source for explorers. So this is generally not something that we'll think about in the early game, since it's hard for it to be relevant. In fact, this is a rule that I don't even teach new players at all, because generally they don't play effectively and efficiently enough for this to matter. I will, of course, keep an eye on it and mention if it is pertinent, but perhaps you had a similar learning experience where you were never shown the exact details of how the Explorer works, and thus you didn't actually know this little nuance. So if you're able to deny an Explorer due to not having any source, it's called creating a pocket. Creating and maintaining a pocket could be the most powerful strategy in the game, and that's what we're going to explore today. So we're going to do a quick opening to demonstrate what is a pocket as a proof of concept. So we're going to be playing as Sharp Fangs against Prussia 4 on board E. Board E is Fang's best board because there's a 50% chance of making a turn 1 pocket. If the top card of the deck is a mountain or jungle, well, let's see what happens. We're going to open up with a Jungle Explorer. So we'll put explorers here and here. And then we're going to do a standard opening. We're just going to gain 3 energy with growth 4, grow off of top track here, and then transform this presence into a beast. Okay, and then we're going to play Teeth Gleam and 2 near the jungle, which gives us our full left innate. And we're going to use that left innate in this land number 7, so we gather a beast in. 1 damage per beast. And then we're going to push both of these beasts out, bringing my presence over here with it. Okay, so that's it for the fast phase. Okay, skip the event. Now we only are going to build in this one single jungles, and when we go to explore, well, there's no source for this wetlands. It is pocketed. We only do one single explore here because we have a source, but now we don't need to worry about anything with this land number 8. Going into the slow phase, we can go here, add a beast. Let's just add it right here. And then with this 2 near the jungle, we'll go fear and kill this explorer. And all of a sudden, we're extremely far ahead of the invaders. Okay. Great. Time passes, pay an energy, reclaim, gain a card. And, oh wow. I stacked the invader cards, but I didn't actually stack this right here. We got Nature's Resilience, which is just the single best card for Fangs and, well, this specific situation. So, hey, might as well take it when we get the chance. Go here, gain some energy. We'll play Nature's Resilience. Well, second card, we could just do this and play something like a Terrifying Chase. Fast, come in here, gather a beast, gather a presence, 2 damage, push 2 beasts, push 2 presence, and then defend this land for 6. Going into the invader phase, right, we do the event. I don't really care about that for the purpose of this conversation. Fear card I don't really care about. Ravage, we clear the jungle, and now there's nothing to build. So we go to explore, we hit sands, wetlands. Look at that. All 3 of these sands and wetlands are pocketed. We get one single explorer. By this point in the game, we've completely shut down almost all of the invaders' actions by denying explorers, and there really should be no possible way to lose from this position. That opening was a direct byproduct of picking an ideal board to match the spirit I chose to play. When picking a board, there's many considerations to make, and I think players broadly prioritize the starting presence placement, but let's consider the ability to make a pocket today. Here's the layout for all of the boards, including G&H from Horizons. When looking for lands to easily pocket, there's a couple things to check. First, we're going to be pocketing, starting with the most inland land and working our way towards the ocean. So we can reasonably expect to get lands 8, then 7, then 6, etc. Second, we want lands with the fewest adjacencies possible. Since every adjacent land must not have any buildings, if there's more adjacent lands, it will be harder to pull off. So here you can see I've divided the boards into sections, where each section is incrementally one range further from the ocean. So on every board, lands 1, 2, and 3 are a group since they are the coastal lands adjacent to the ocean. These lands can never be pocketed, since the ocean is always a source for explorers. Zooming into board A, lands 4, 5, and 6 are all in a group together since those lands are 2 range from the ocean, and then lands 7 and 8 are in the last group since they are 3 range out. This 3-3-2 pattern is the most common one existing in 6 of the 8 boards. Only boards D and H are different with a 3-4-1 pattern. We would reasonably expect that lands from range 3 from the ocean would be the easiest to pocket. So now the next level of analysis is to consider the quantity of adjacencies. Alright, so I've added numbers on each land, which represents the quantity of adjacent lands. Note that I did not do this for the coastal lands, since they can never be pocketed anyways. So in order to find easy lands to pocket, we want to identify lands with the fewest adjacencies. There's no lands with only one single adjacency, at least on the balance boards, but there are many with just 2. Lands A7, B8, C8, D8, E8, and F7 are all lands with only 2 adjacencies. Interestingly, neither of the Horizons boards have lands with that property, so for the purpose of this video, these are the 2 worst boards. Of the 6 boards that exist as a physical standalone item though, they all have one land that should be easier to pocket, but I want to draw attention to board D for a moment. This is the only board where the 2 adjacency land is only range 2 from the ocean. All the rest have that land at range 3. That means that this pocket will be the hardest to maintain over the course of the game, since it takes less steps to pop that bubble. Another interesting takeaway is that C, E, and F all have as a wetland that should be easiest to pocket, whereas no other terrain is represented twice. The last thing I want to draw your attention to is the curious nature of boards A, B, and E. These 3 boards have a single land that is adjacent to all 3 coastal land, and this warps the board a bit. For these boards, if you were to draw the shortest path from any inland land to the ocean, the paths will converge. So let's say that we're going to go with board B. Okay, let's go from 4, right? 4 can go any of these 3 ways. But land 5, the shortest path, is only through land 1. 6, the shortest path is only through land 1. Okay, well, 7 has even paths all the way through. Okay, but land 8 only can go through land 1 for looking at just the shortest path. So for lands 5, 6, and 8, there is a convergence where they all funnel through this one single land. Now, we can compare that over here to board F. So, all of these each have their own unique path out, and then, 4 could also go up through 2, and 5 could also go through 1, right? So we got a few different ways for this first tier. And then for the second tier, sure, 7 has 2 different paths to go, and 8 has a lot of paths that it can go. And so that means that there's no one central point that, like, if we take control of it, we have disproportionate control over the board. Okay, so with board B, if we were to have absolute control over lands 1 and lands 4, then there is absolutely no way for this entire back half to get explored. There is no such efficient pairing on board F. And if we took a look at A, we would also see, once again, it is 1 and 4 gates off everything, right? Because all of these guys are going to funnel through land number 1. In E, you kind of get a little funneling, but it's different, and that's just because of the weird nature of how 2 is fully enveloped and is largely irrelevant for getting to the ocean. Like, it's never the shortest path. So that means you get a 2-pronged funneling, right? We could go right 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, but every path basically goes through 3 and 1. So you could control both 3 and 1, and that would give you disproportionate control, but most often you'll see players control 4 and 7, keeping these 2 empty, and then that will then, as a byproduct, give you control over 6 and 8, and still, once again, you're pocketing half the board. Here's a screenshot from a PvP I'm currently in. I'm playing as bodies versus Sweden, though that doesn't particularly matter for the point that I'm trying to make here. Through some good team coordination, we were very quickly able to clear this board, and now I have a presence parked in land 2. I don't particularly care about lands 2 and 3. Like, I'll solve them efficiently if I can, but I'm primarily focused on controlling lands 1 and 4, such that lands 5 through 8 can never be in the game again, and I can snowball my advantage onto other boards. And that strategy has been working. In fact, right now, I've got 5 presence on other boards compared to just 2 on my own starting board. The team invested resources into me, and now I'm able to return the favor, and we're all better off for it. I think one of the reasons that some players don't know about the technical rules surrounding explorers is that as we get better at the game, we will increase the difficulty by adding an adversary or bumping up their difficulty. Each adversary has a special rule that makes it harder to create a pocket in general, but also create additional in-game pressure so we are less likely to have free actions that can be invested into non-active lands for the purpose of making a pocket. So Prussia, the big one that they've got is this number 2, which puts that stage 3 card early. And then every turn it just, increases the speed of the game. And it basically makes them so spread out so quickly that we don't have time to invest into making a pocket. By the time that we get control of the game, we've largely won anyways. With England, basically every single rule that they've got makes pocketing harder, but the ones that really matter is number 1 and then number 4. So number 1 means that they will build even without any invaders in the land, so long as there are 2 adjacent buildings. And then 3 or 4 creates that high immigration tile and leaves it out all game, which means that we never really get relief from all that extra build pressure. But every single tier here definitely makes it harder, and England is certainly the hardest adversary to get a pocket against. Sweden. Sweden is the opposite. Sweden's going to be the easiest to make a pocket against because they don't have any long-term way of attacking the inlands. Really what they've got, though, is between 2, 4, and 6. They have 3 different ways to add extra buildings to the starting board. So it just gives them a really, really strong opening position, and it makes it impossible to create a quick pocket. It's one of those things that's going to happen about halfway through the game. All right, now we got France. France 4 does apply some inland pressure, but I find that the one that really matters is going to be France 6. Because with France 6, we're just going to have all these random explorers just lying around. So even if you do create a pocket, when a card comes up, you would normally deny the explorer. There's already explorers in there, and so it creates a threat that has to be solved. It's not necessarily difficult, but it is a threat that exists. Habsburg. Habsburg is a very weird one, because sometimes we'll just naturally pocket itself. So here's a funny line that's happened to me before, playing on board F, and they open on wetlands. So after the build and gather, we will explore the mountains next. And look how the gather forced the towns to be pulled to the bottom side, such that this mountain up here is already pocketed and will not explore, build, or gather anything. And so it just kind of solves itself. It's a really odd quirk of this adversary. But the thing that's really going to break this up is going to be Habsburg 5 with that reminder card, which adds towns inland. Certainly, like with all these adversaries, you could say the escalation is also going to threaten that, but most of them just kind of like add a town to the board somewhere. So these are really like the unique things that come with the rules as you start to bump up your difficulties. So Russia is actually very similar to Prussia in that, you solve the explorer and then you solve the whole chain of events. However, Russia is just a lot stickier because of this Russia 2 right here. You kill an explorer and it survives, you have to kick it around, and so you're more likely to get yourself into a situation where an explorer card's going to come up. It doesn't explore, but there's already an explorer there, kind of like what we got going on with France. And so it's still a threat that you have to deal with. Additionally, they do have the crazy looking invader deck similar to Prussia with this Russia number 4. And then because of Russia 5, they make it such that you will interact with every single stage 2 card and every single stage 3 card over the course of the game. Sometimes we can just kind of get lucky and dodge a land, but with this number 5, the fear bombs, that makes it such that that's not going to be the case. So for Scotland, the only thing that Scotland's got going on is Scotland 6. So if you're playing at any difficulty less than Scotland 6, this is actually going to be the easiest adversary to pocket because they got literally nothing besides a generic backside. So especially if you're like in a multiplayer game and someone else takes the escalation, really you should make it a priority to pocket against Scotland as quickly as you can, because your teammate is going to be under a lot of pressure with all those extra buildings, and so you can basically solve your board by cleaning up the backside pretty quickly and then invest presence and actions over there to help your teammate. And then last we have HME, and they get an explosion of activity off of this salt card right here. You can explore like pretty much the entire island all in one action, and it means such that every single land on the board is going to be a threat because it's either a mining land already, so there's already invaders there, or you're exploring it and building it. So that one big salt turn threatens everything. But after that, there's not a lot of stickiness to it. So you can create a pocket, but it's not going to happen until like the beginning of stage 3. Also, to draw attention to, depending on your difficulty level, you use 3 or 5. 5 replaces 3. But either way, it converts explorers into buildings, which can help break that pocket as well. Generally near the end of the game when I'm playing against HME, because of the weird nature of the mining lands and the salt card, I don't actually try to make a pocket. I usually wind up with just like 2 invaders in every single land, and then it turns into a situation where you're kind of just playing a normal game again, where you just solve whatever card comes up. Because there's just so many actions that HME takes that it's really hard, in my experience, to create that pocket. And so it's just really low on my priorities list. I'd rather just focus on surviving. So anyways, it's a very challenging tactic to pull off creating a pocket, but it's an incredibly rewarding one. And there are some spirits that are really good at it, and let's take a look at them. These 9 spirits are the ones that come to the forefront of my mind as the ones who can quickly or reliably create a pocket. While any spirit can pull this tactic off, this is like my Hall of Fame. The bottom row is all spirits and aspects from Nature's Incarnate, and there's quite a few there. But let's start with the older spirits: Finder, Wildfire, Fangs, and Trickster. So Finder can really only get ahead by creating a pocket, with 6 unique power cards that all push, as well as both innates pushing and isolating invaders. Finder's only real game plan is to pocket their starting board, and then grow that pocket across the center of the island. Now, for Wildfire, you're going to want to start on boards D or boards F, because these are the 2 lands where your starting presence is going to be the same land as the starting inland town. So in the fast phase of turn 1, you can give yourself the card that gives you a bonus damage, and you can kill that town in the fast phase of turn 1, and hopefully deny some explorers immediately from there. Sharp Fangs has the fast pocket on board E, as we previously mentioned, but in addition to that fast damage, he has build skips and pushes, so on any board you can quickly ice out the backside of the board. Grinning Trickster is the one that we're going to be featuring for today's gameplay, and he has an incredibly explosive opening. And let's see what happens has a super high potential payoff, so he can pretty reliably create that pocket just because he has so much early activity. Now, taking a look at the new stuff from Nature's Incarnate, we have the Spreading Hostility aspect for Keeper, the Deeps aspect for Ocean, as well as Behemoth, Bodies, and Wandering Voice. So the new growth option for Keeper lets you kill the starting town in the growth phase of turn 1, allowing you to immediately shrink the board. And then after that, as a follow-up, you have all these wilds tokens you can add with your innate, so you can keep that board small. And so with the right turn 1 Explorer, you can have a very short game and immediately ice out a lot of things. Now, Deep's Ocean is particularly fascinating because it takes the logic of making a pocket and flips it on its head. Obviously, Base Ocean is horrid at making a pocket since it cannot add any presence inland, but with Deeps, we have to kind of think about what is making a pocket and, flip the logic on its head. So by making a pocket, we prevent an explorer from happening, and then we, prevent the entire chain of events. And since now the invaders are taking fewer actions, that's how we can slingshot ourselves ahead. So let's consider board F. We already talked about how board F on land number 7 is the one that's easiest to pocket because it has only 2 adjacencies. Well, the same benefit can be gained from pocketing out number 7 as we would by drowning land number 3. When the wetlands comes up, the invaders just take less actions and we can get ourselves ahead. So while it's not this whole inland bubble that we're maintaining and gaining perpetual value turn over turn, we are eliminating specific lands such that there are just fewer lands that exist that the invaders can take actions in. So the earliest that you're able to drown a land is on turn 3. And if you can do that from turn 3 onwards, you should hopefully be able to gain value turn over turn. Just got to be careful because if you screw it up, the invaders might gain actions on that coastal card. But, that's a separate thing. Next, Behemoth has a fast town push. So given the right opening, you can push that inland town to create that fast pocket. And then just like Keeper, he also has a Wilds card. So you can lock down important spots on the board to help preserve that pocket while your Incarna runs across to other boards across the island and helps everyone else out. So Bodies Incarna starts close to the coast. Only boards B and G have their low jungles not on the coast. The other 6 boards, they're all coastal. The abduction mechanic lets you clear your board insanely fast. And then, similar to Finder, you can dump them onto another player's board. And yeah, it's their problem, but you can prevent a lot of actions from happening in the first place. And then last over here, we have Wandering Voice. So your Incarna starts in land number 6. And board B is the only board of the 8 where the starting town is in land number 6. Meaning that on all other boards, you can push that starting town towards the coast on the fast phase of turn 1, creating that instantaneous pocket. So this is kind of the ones that I think of as like the quick Hall of Fame. Certainly, there's every spirit in the game could create a pocket, but these are just my favorite ones. So it might not be the ideal strategy to create a pocket super fast just based on the specific context of the game, but it is something that we have access to, and it's something we should keep on the forefronts of our mind because when it works, it's an amazing payoff, and it leads to just a quick early lead, super easy games. Alright, so this game we're going to be playing as Grinning Trickster against Sweden 6. Sweden is an adversary that's very susceptible to getting pocketed, and Trickster's pretty good at it, but you know, Sweden just has a really strong opening position. So I feel like this is a good matchup to really, demonstrate and explore the power of pocketing. So let's get right into it. We're going to open up with a Jungles Explore, and Wetlands is going to be the royal backing. So since both of these have a building, we have to make a choice, and I'm going to go here into number 4. Okay. And the standard opening I like to go for on Trickster is to go for bottom, bottom. So on turn 1, we gain a card. And turn 1, we generally will play Impersonate Incite. And then turn 2, we'd play Arson plus Unexpected Tigers. And with this, if we gain any air card, which we have 3 choices for, right? Any air card will still give us our Let's See What Happens. But other things to look out for would be like a fire, which could give us a little bit of damage with our innates. And then obviously the card text matters as well. So the first thing that I'm seeing as I'm looking at this Drift Down into Slumber, which would solve this land number 3 because it's going to be Ravaging for 4 damage. So I think that's going to be the play going right here. And by going bottom track, we get the ability to push Dahan. So I'm going to be sending 2 Dahan over here into land number 7 in order to make it such that there's only going to be 1 land that is susceptible to getting escalated. Okay, so that's the pick. Oh boy. Okay, yep, and during the spirit phase, we kick this guy over. And we will use Let's See What Happens. Now, we already have a solution for these 2 lands here, and this land number 8 is my highest risk land. And so I'm going to use my Let's See What Happens here. Any form of a town kill would be really nice to get. So that's what we're going to target. You have to choose your target first before you see the card, and we get Bat Scout. And so anytime that you get an or, it becomes an and. So first, for each Dahan, 1 damage to buildings. Okay, and then Fear, gather up to 2. So I'll take the Fear, and my up to will just be a clean 0 because I don't want this Dahan to leave. I want them to group up for a counterattack. Great, that was one of the best hits we could have possibly had. So there we go, we're off to the Invader phase. Skipping the first event of the game, we will build, and then, oh wow, how'd you get there? We will explore the sands. Great. We will use Impersonate Authority to add a strife over here to the town, and then this Incite the Mob will have the town deal damage to other invaders. So it's going to deal 3 damage, kill the city. Actually, now think about it, let's do it the other way. Let's do city, kill both of these, play around some edge cases. So kill these 2 things, 2 bonus fear, because we killed 2 invaders. Yeah, if we got like an increasing aggression, that would have screwed up our plans. So we'll play it safer and strike the city. Alright, turn 2. We're going to stick with our primary game plan. We're going to put our presence here, use our Spirit action to move it up here to land number 7, make for a good counterattack. And then we're going to gain 3 energy. It's worth noting that we could have elected to gain a card here because our whole hand only costs 1, but it costs 1 energy to reclaim, and so I want us to be able to do that this next turn. So we'll just kind of float a little extra energy for now. Okay, and we'll start with the Drift Down to Slumber. We're going to defend this land for 4. Okay, and then if we're going to want to make a pocket, we're going to want to take care of these 2 lands next. So there really is only 1 land to hit with this Overenthusiastic Arson, so I'll just do that. Kill this town, flip over the top card. There is no fire on this card, which means that nothing else happens. If we had hit a fire, we'd take a Blight, a Fear, and deal 2 damage. And had we done that, I would have used Let's See What Happens in land number 4, hoping for any single damage card to finish off the city. But since we missed, I don't think there's any minor that would get rid of that city, so we're going to use Let's See What Happens over here in land number 6, hoping that we can get rid of this Explorer somehow. 1 damage per Dahan, great, and then gather up to 3 Dahan. So if we gather Dahan, that means we are susceptible to getting escalated. And I don't think it's worth it. Like, we could do a, reclaim Drift Down all over again, but we could also just reclaim an Overenthusiastic Arson. So I think it's better to play it safe in this moment. We're in a really good position. No reason to concede our strong position accidentally. So we're just going to completely whiff on that card. And that is it for the fast phase. Going over to the event. New species spread. So we need to close the gap by 3 in order to get our fear. We will get an energy back. So if we were to spend all of our energy, we will still earn an energy from the bottom part of the event, so we can still do a reclaim. And if we do that, then we'll be at 1 energy for the turn for all those card plays. We could do, like a Drift Down, Impersonate, Incite. We could do something like that. So let's spend the energy, go down to 0. So we get 1 fear, and we get to add a beast to a land with buildings. So I'm going to invest my token resources into this backside because I really want to get this land number 4 solved and this land number 6. Since the 7's clearing itself, I really want to create this pocket so that way there's just less things to worry about for the rest of the game. Add a disease to a land with both Dahan and invaders. 2 damage to Dahan there. So we're going to have to go here, and this does expose us to getting escalated. Really hope we don't get it. But if we go here, we don't kill the city, and that's really bad. And then we get to gain 1 energy. Fear card. Strife in a land, not matching a Ravage card. We get the most value from hitting these cities. So I think... I'll go here. Yeah, I think we'll go there. No, we're more likely to hit, coastal or mountain, so we're going to get value out of this strife sooner here. So we'll just do that, although I don't think this is really a game-breaking choice. Go to the Ravage. And build. And explore. Mountains. Okay, there's no Dahan there to escalate with, so we're sitting pretty. Then last, we go to the slow phase and we have Unexpected Tigers. We can use this in land number 5, so we get a fear because there's invaders. Gather a beast, and then push out an explorer. Sweet. And that's time passes. So, this next turn we're planning on an over-enthusiastic arsoning here, which means that this wetlands will now be protected and cannot explore. So then I can push that out during the spirit phase and we can try and get these Dahan into the game. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Pay an energy to reclaim our cards. That gives us presence movement. I guess we'll go here with that. And then we can either add a presence or we can gain a card or gain energy. There is a build where you would just gain energy here and you basically just loop for the rest of the game, pulling a major instead of that minor earlier. I'm not a huge fan of super early reclaim loops though, because that doesn't gain any forward progress, but that is a fun little build that does exist. Instead, I'm going to be pushing my Dahan this way because it can't get, I don't want to get escalated on. So I might as well just do that now. We could do like a drift down, and then we have to play another 0 cost, so we could play something like this Unexpected Tigers. That would give us our let's see what happens. Kill this, defend that. It's not bad. It's unfortunate we're down a little bit of energy, but it's okay. Over enthusiastic arsenal, we're going to kill and see what we get. No fire, so we're safe again. Drift down, we're going to defend this land over here for 4. And how should we use our let's see what happens? So my inclination is that we want to use it in either 1 or 7 to get a push or gather on Dahan. I don't know what there's more of. I think there's more pushes than there are gathers, so we're going to target land number 7. But that's just an intuition. It's not actually mathed out or anything. And sweet, we get a complete whiff. So, cool stuff, man. Event. Buildings have extra health, okay. Beast kill explorers. Thank you. And then we get to add a Dahan to a coastal land. Fantastic. This is really good, right? Because after denying this build, the 2 Dahan will clear this land. So as long as we don't get a coastal explorer right now, we're sitting in a really good position. No actions will be required. And with more buildings than where it came from. Yeah, these guys can't move. I would move this explorer if I could. Only thing I can really do is this, which I think is fine. Because if we get a wetlands explorer, we can incite impersonate in number 4 and get more value. And defense, okay, cool. All right, ravage happens, build happens, explore, dang, missed, okay. Explore the coast. All right. And then we'll get Unexpected Tigers, which I guess we can use Unexpected Tigers here in that E2, so that's what we'll do. We'll do a Fear, gather a beast in, and push a explorer out. And time passes. So here, I want to play a 3rd card. Do I need to play a 3rd card? Because we're going to strife this city, and then it's going to deal 5 damage, which will kill all of this. Leaving, and then that's going to die, right? So it's going to be a city here, just an explorer here, city, and a little bit of activity there. I don't think going for another card is necessary. I think we just gained 3 energy here. And then I do like to hit this 2 energy quite a bit on Trickster. So that way we never have to stop gaining cards. Right? We can always do our reclaim. We'll always have energy. So I think that's going to be my play. And this presence placement doesn't super matter, but I guess we'll go here. I think that it's a net benefit for events to have presence with your Dahan than without. And sorry, we also got to let's see what happens, which I'm going to use over here in land number 4. I don't know what can solve that for me. I'm going to use it land number 4, see if we can start to gain some chip value. And that's a good one. That's a really good one. Unquenchable Flames. So we get 1 fear, we do 1 damage, and then it does not heal. And because of the moon, we can choose to keep this card by forgetting another card. And let's see. I think we forget Drift Down. No, I'll forget Unexpected Tigers. Yeah. I really like this Unquenchable Flames. The Badlands gives us a lot more power, so I like it quite a bit. Okay. Vader Phase. Event. Life's Balance Tilts. We could spend 2 energy. We still have the 1 energy left to reclaim, and if we do that, then that would be really bad for us, because that means that this Explorer would survive and then build, and we actively do not want that. So we're going to remove a beast and add a disease. If I prevent the city from coming down here, we can strife the town, and that will leave just this. Let's see what else we got. We could put a disease like here. So that way if this Explorer does happen, we're protected. Same exact logic here. Either one of these will protect the pocket. Going here doesn't really produce any value. Oh, but if we go for the minus health, then that dies. That's really sad. I think it's either situation. This turns out poorly for us. We might as well just take the positives. So we're going to pay 2 energy. For this, we're going to add a beast, remove a disease. No. We need to save that disease. Otherwise, we wind up just creating more problems for ourselves. Okay, because that's a wash either way. So we take the free option. We don't pay the energy. We remove the beast. We add a disease. I'm going to add it right here to play around any disease kills Dahan events. And then, yeah, flip over the top card of the deck. It's slow, so we do not get Blight, despite the fact that Drought adds Blight. And then we do not take a... We have plenty of Dahan, so we don't need to take another loss. So Ravage kills here, build, and explore the wetlands. Look at that, we get value from that pocket. We no longer need to worry about land number 8. Going into the slow phase, we're going to impersonate Incite. So we're going to add a strife here, paying energy to put another strife there because of Trickster's special rule. And then we're going to have 5 damage get dealt, recognizing that... all invaders have -1 health, so that should be dead. It's going to kill all of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Time passes. So this next card is guaranteed to be either a jungles or a sands. So if we were to do a Dahan push this way, we're guaranteed to get escalated, and that would be a bad idea. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to reclaim, pay an energy, grow from the top track. I'm just going to... Well, we need to have a Sacred Site for this Unquenchable Flames eventually. So I'm going to go right there. We're going to impersonate Incite again, since we know we're going to be able to use it over here, land number 4. And then for our last card, it doesn't really matter which one we play. I think I'm just going to play Unquenchable Flames. Okay, and we had a let's see what happens. And we're going to use that in land number 1, hoping for some activity there. Because I'm using it in 1 because it could be Gather, but if there's any damaging powers too, then we can use our Unquenchable Flames there. And it's gathering, so great. We'll come up here, gather these 2 Dahan. We could choose to keep the card and gain an energy, but I think I'm actually pretty happy with what I've got. We could pitch this Drift down, since it's going to be a while. Yeah, let's forget Drift down to gain this guy, and that'll give us energy. Okay, that's it for the fast phase. Event. Okay, so nothing's being defended. And I would like for this to get paid for, because nothing's being defended, and the extra health will protect this town and prevent that from dying. So is that reasonable? I could discard Promises of Protection and pay 1 energy. Let's do that. Okay, so it'll grab me the reminder card, just a nice thing to have on hand. And let's see, Beasts and Cities. No hits. 1,000 Small Struggles. We have 5 Dahan, so we're still safe. And 2 Fear cards. My favorite Fear card in the game, Explorers Are Reluctant. And then Isolation. Deuter Town from a land with 2 or fewer invaders. We'll get rid of you. Alright, Ravage in the Coast. Kill, kill. Build the wetlands. And do not explore. Fantastic. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So obviously we'll just use this Unquenchable Flames to go here. I don't think it'll produce much value though, right? Because that we could do 4 damage, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Leave that. No, actually that's the play. Then we over Enthusiastic Arson and win. So, okay, we got a Fear, we got our Badlands, we got our damage. We'll do Impersonate, Incite. So add a Strife, and then it's going to deal its normal 3 damage plus 1 because of the Badlands. So killing these 3 invaders. And then, yeah, time passes. Nothing else really matters. Over Enthusiastic Arson is going to come down and kill this town fast, leading to a Terror level 2 victory. We could play it out and see that we once again don't take any blight, so we have a perfectly healthy game. We were able to skip some actions in this wetlands because of that pocket that we created. This land number 4 was kind of a thorn in our side, prevented us from really locking out this backside, but it was good to be able to demonstrate being able to skip some actions in this 8, which provided us with value and allowed us to close out this game. So anyways, pocketing, it's a pretty sweet tactic. If you can pull it off, it makes the game significantly easier. So if you ever find yourself in a situation where you have excess unspent actions, you're definitely should start considering if you can deny invaders access to any part of the island. It'll pay off for you in droves. Thank you guys so much, and have a wonderful day.